What are the most common and most ridiculous ways to organize your record collection? Today, I went down a big Reddit rabbit hole to take a look and explore what to find. Number 2, number 9 are absolutely ridiculous, and so is number 10, which is one that I used to use myself. So you'll want to watch till the end of this video and see what that is. Let's get started. Number 1, chaos. Yes, kind of a ridiculous one, but not necessarily for people with small collections. Having a bin or 2 bins of completely random records not organized whatsoever is not really a bad thing. But if you have about 2,500 like I have, you might want to do something different. Blue Funked on Reddit says, life's too short for organization. I have my records in just 2 categories, stuff I like and stuff I don't like. The stuff in the second pile is quickly traded for something new to go in category 1. All I need to do is grab a record from the first pile and play it. I always hear something I want to hear and often come across something I forgot I have. That is a great idea when it comes to chaos, although personally I would rather go to Discogs and hit that random button if I wanted something random that I liked. The second one is recency. I just got this copy of Down on the Upside by Soundgarden. I just finished listening to it. That means it would go in the upper left, which is the most recent spot. It's the very front of the list. Or I could do it reverse and put it at the bottom right because I just played it, so I'm gonna put it at the end. Either one of those would work. But how do you find anything in between? You don't. Big Frosty Nugs, I love that name, said the following about recency. I just browse through my records until I find something I like, and then I put it in the front of the collection when I'm done. That way my records are always ordered by how recently I've listened to them. Number 3 is probably the most popular one of all time, and that is alphabetical, A to Z by artist. And there are a few different ways you could do this here. You could go A to Z just like that by artist, but what about something like Kevin Morby or Chris Cornell, K and M? Does that go under M for Morby or does it go under K for Kevin? Well, Reddit seems to be a little bit mixed on that topic. Personally, I would put that under M. And what about artists you have multiple albums of? Well, the most common thing, according to Reddit, is chronologically from there. So, most recent album on back or earliest album on forward. I love this one because this is an alphabetical one, but it is absolutely ridiculous. Alphabetically by band manager's middle name. Number 4 is by genre or subgenre. Genre tends to be one employed by a lot of record stores. You'll see rock, you'll see indie, you'll see international and jazz and everything in between. They tend to have it lumped to main genres, but even that can get a little tricky. I had some good friends back in Washington that actually went into subgenres. So they had punk and post-punk and proto-punk. They had indie, they had rock, they had various sections for jazz all over the map. It was a little confusing because they had about 5,000 to 10,000 records. So someone like myself going in would kind of have to hunt to see where the different subgenres are. So user 9bikes makes a great point about sorting by genre. Most record stores keep genres separated, and I hate it. Somewhat regularly, I look for an artist I expect to be in one section only to find they have it in a different category than I expected. Absolutely valid. I've seen it many, many times at my local shop, Josie Records. Wait a second, Sonic Youth isn't in this kind of indie section. It's kind of over here in this really small, like, punk section. Number 5. Now, this one's interesting because some people actually said by release date. Soundgarden would go in my 1996 section. Test Case 7 writes, I sort by release date. I'm better with numbers than letters, so I find things easier that way. Totally makes sense. I completely get that as well. LeCurtz says, sorting by release date is the worst idea I've ever heard. Kitty, get the fuck down. Number 6 is categorically. So this one was lumped into different labels. This one is from A&M, so this would go under A&M Records, and it would either be by one of two different things. First, you could do by label category number. Second, you could do it by release date. But once again, it kind of separates out artists that have had albums on many different labels. Cactus Boy Scout, I love that name too, that's a good band name, isn't it? Says, I'm probably alone on this, but I tend to buy records more based on labels that I like, so I organize by labels. It is a thing, absolutely, not unheard of in the least. All right, number 7 is the one that you probably expected if you are a big fan of vinyl, and that is autobiographically. Now, this one is super fascinating. It's the one employed by Rob in High Fidelity, where he tracks his albums basically based on when he purchased them and why. I could have at the very end of my list would be Built to Spill's Keep It Like a Secret, which was the first record I remember purchasing new. Then all the way up to this one. But really, would this be under the most recent? Or would I categorize this back in the teens when I first really got into this album upon its release in 1996? I don't know. How would you put that autobiographically? Next. And this is another one used by record stores, and that is geographic region. Where is the band from? You could have a South America section, you could have Europe, and you could even break it down within there to select countries that have a lot of releases from within that area. Soundgarden would be from the United States, and maybe in the United States that's separated into different geographical regions, so Pacific Northwest, whereas you'd have a band similarly from Boston, say Dinosaur Jr., and that would be on the East Coast, so we would say maybe have that under a New England section. Hey, it's a viable way, right? Then, maybe for areas that you don't necessarily have a lot, it would just be more by country. So I could say Mexico, and that would be my section there. Or South America, don't really have many from that area, so that would seem to make sense. An entire section, relatively small, just dedicated to an entire continent. This is another interesting one. Number 9 is chromatically. Some people said chromatically by spine color. So this is kind of a black fades down into brown. I would probably put this in kind of the darker brown, almost black section. Aesthetically, it sounds really cool. Like you could just look at it and it would just be this really cool color spectrum. For me, it doesn't necessarily work because I keep mine in these plastic sleeves. Bowery_boy says color coded. Keep it spicy for your guests. And someone replied, ooh, that would actually be really cool. Like one continuous gradient through the spectrum based on spine color. I have no idea how you would find anything, but it would be so visually appealing. King Frogs states, by color of vinyl, then tempo of second track, then composer's second child's middle name. I mean, that's just stupid, but I get what he's doing there. And finally, number 10 is, it's one that I used to use myself, by fake subgenre. I created this whole series of fake genres that only I really knew. So it's almost autobiographically, but it's a little bit different. Just to kind of give you an idea, Soundgarden would have been in my Wayne Campbell section, which was 90s rock, sometimes mainstream, sometimes fringe, garagey stuff. Also my Jane Lane section, which tended to be more female-based rock, typically heavier rock, indie rock, Riot Girl, stuff like that. And of course, who can forget my Al Gore section, which was entirely made up of space rock, desert rock, and droney stuff that you would probably equate to a desert, barren, dystopian world where the climate has just completely eradicated everything and it's about 200 degrees outside at any given moment of the day. And here's how my current organization is set up. Like most, I start with size, because size matters, right? 12-inch, 10-inch, 7-inch. I also have box sets separated out, so girth. Next is alphabetical. A to Z by artist, and I already hinted that someone like Kevin Morby would have gone under M. Next is chronologically by release, in order of their release date, starting with the oldest. It's kind of by the way that Discogs organizes it. So LP first, then singles and EPs, and then finally compilations and live albums. I also separate out from the alphabetical side artists that I have 5 or more albums of on 12-inch. Those get their own special sections. Bowie, Blonde Redhead, Beatles, Built to Spill, Big Thief. I'm just starting on the B's. Beach House, Belle and Sebastian. Those all have their own sections. And then finally, I have a queue, and stay tuned for a future video where I talk about my listening habits and what that queue includes and how I listen to and track my listens. Go down a big nerd rabbit hole right there. How do you sort your collection? I would love to know. And in conclusion, I've got to call out Illustrious Case 993. Sort it however you want. It's your collection. However you do sort it, it will reflect who you are. Do it like others sort theirs, and your collection will not reflect who you are. Enjoy. If you like this content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I'd super appreciate it. Next, check out this video right here where I go into 5 reasons you should start a vinyl record collection. As a YouTube commenter said a few years back, this dude is a damn nerd. I'm Andy. This is the FensePost Vinyl channel. I will see you in the next video.